Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smarter Tech podcast. I'm here with Hakeem Anwar. Am I mispronouncing your name or did I just nail it?
You nailed it.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad. Well, you are the creator of the Above Agency, Above Phone. We're going to talk about what these are. You also sponsored one of my summits a few years ago. And how I stumbled upon your work is that you gave this amazing presentation, I must say, to the World Council of Health. It was about EMFs, and you talked about the dangers. It was clear that you had the deep understanding of these dangers, and yet you are someone who has a tech background. So to me, it's always a combination that is quite surprising because, of course, when we talk to engineers in tech and people who love tech or create tech, it's very rare that we find people that are aware of the downsides maybe of tech. They are aware maybe of blue light emissions, but being aware of the EMF emissions is just something that most of them do not have. So I guess my first question for you is, what's your background exactly professionally? And then how did you come to appreciate the downsides of technology, especially when it comes to EMF radiation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've always naturally been skeptical and not obedient, maybe a contrarian a bit. And just throughout my journey, I was always asking questions, and I also had great mentors who pointed me in the right direction. And so, just knowing a little bit about how the world actually works, when I did start my career in technology, where I was a software engineer and I did pretty much everything under the sun because I really enjoyed it. I did web and mobile engineering, and I've done cloud computing, all these different things. And so that gave me a wide experience. And the whole time I was realizing that I wasn't feeling very great. I was spending 14 hours a day on my computer, whether working for my job or my side hustle, whatever I was working on at the time. And I was just feeling out of sorts. Couldn't sleep at night, pains in all these different places. And I began to realize that there was something behind it. I was living in some of the most polluted, EMR polluted environments in the world. And I always enjoyed ergonomics. So I was like, okay, let me actually do something about this, because I do feel like technology is my dharma. Maybe there's some of you who are lucky enough to spend more time outside, but this is kind of how I serve. And so I need to make sure I'm feeling really good about it and it's supporting my lifestyle. And so eventually I went down a rabbit hole, and so I'm very deeply immersed, and I really enjoy it because I think it's this new paradigm of health that people are now becoming more accustomed to, especially I would say the alternative or free thinking community. Hopefully we can get it out to more people in technology, because they're the ones who need it the most. It seems like you mentioned, they kind of go off the deep end. Mobile headphones, around 20 different sources of wireless radiation. And I really worry for their health. So it's my hope that with this company and just setting the example and sharing the education like you have been doing for years, that we can make an impact with people.
Yeah, definitely. And when did you come to appreciate this other side that you display so much throughout your project and in your company and your products, which is privacy? That's not something I'm good at. We're on Zoom and it's buggy. I don't know anything else. And I know that there are many alternatives. One of my dear friends is, I don't know what kind of, profession that is, but he basically hacks clients' databases to try to find security breaches. And so he works for internet security, and he's always been repeating me, Nick, you use the worst softwares, your computer is unsecured, you should never go on a Wi-Fi at a Starbucks. And I appreciate his message, but for me, it's hard to get started with more privacy. How did you come to appreciate this side to tech where it actually, in a sense, inspired you to make more private or privacy friendly software and solutions? And why privacy, right? Because many people say, well, some people in my audience will get it, but some other people will answer something like, Well, I don't have nothing to hide. I'm not a criminal. So why should I care if Zoom or Google takes my information and sells it to, for publicity or advertising purposes?
Yeah. This has been a long journey with privacy, and it's because I've seen what has actually been done with this mass surveillance that's been going on. Everyone has probably heard about Snowden, and he's like, yeah, all the biggest companies like Apple, AT&T, AOL, Skype, all of these different companies work with the NSA and funnel data there, that way. And it came out there. Maybe some people started to think about privacy, but really, who cares? So what? There's they're listening to all of our conversations. What's next? Well, I think we're starting to come into the phase where there's actually a directed use of these surveillance technologies to control how we live our lives. And that's where we have to draw the line. That's where it's not only about keeping your business to yourself, which I think is like an old school line of thinking. It's like, hey, this is my business, not your business. But more than that, when a few companies, Apple and Google in this case, have visibility into the phones of 7 billion people, there's about one phone for every person, they have a really intimate look at everyone's life. And the danger is when you let all of that data, all that information get consolidated into the hands of a very few people, because they will use that to their advantage, and they have. So it's not just about protecting your own data. It's about resisting the unlawful and I'd say completely illegal, unconstitutional surveillance that is happening. Because if we don't resist, then these systems are going to continue to go and grow until you don't really have a choice, right? We're seeing this nowadays. I think the lockdowns were a really good example of this. How what was previously surveillance turns into control, where they deployed contact tracing apps, and they made sure to see whether people were abiding by the restrictions and staying indoors or actually going outside. Now, in some cases, luckily not here in the United States, but in Australia, they did use that data. They did use that surveillance to find people and let them know, hey, you're going to a quarantine camp. Now, God forbid that doesn't happen here. I don't want to see that happen here, but it's something to be mindful for. And laws are changing all the time, and you don't even know if you're breaking a law. So it's better just to not leak your information. And then to answer the first part of your question, like how did I get into this? So like I said, I have a pretty wide background, and I was working with my friend Derek Brose, who is the co-founder of the Freedom Cell Network, and I was having to make a choice, between my past life and what I'm doing currently, and that was to not help build the prison around me with this technology, and decide to contribute to social movements. So as part of running the tech infrastructure for the Freedom Cell Network, I got to see the people who are really being targeted are the people who are asking questions, the people who aren't afraid to go outside of the mainstream and educate people on important issues like this. They're the ones being targeted by scammers. They're the ones who are being surveilled on most. And it makes completely sense. So I decided, hey, maybe there's something we could do to help them. And of course, that started with my own paranoia. Like, how can I feel good about the work and exchange I'm doing with people? How can I feel sacred in my relationships? And eventually it was like, okay, this is so good. Maybe we should share it with other people. We started in 2022, and here we are a few years later. We have several thousand customers. We have a private phone product, a laptop product, and communication services that can replace the big tech companies. So it's been a really wild journey, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Me too. I interviewed a few people in tech this year, and it just looks like there's this new breed of tech conscious entrepreneurs, or tech conscious, software engineers or computer engineers. One of them is Engine Kata from Daylight Computers. He created a new sort of paper-like display that still refreshes at 60 frame per second. So it's very, very sharp technology that doesn't come with the blue light. And then you tell me you've engineered alternatives to the Apple and Google suites, and this is really what I think has been missing, is that, you know, I've been telling the same message since 2017, telling people, okay, well, use your devices less and at a distance, and the privacy thing, I wasn't so knowledgeable about this, but whenever I talked about it, a lot of people told me, well, Nick, it's kind of wishful thinking, but, you know, I'm busy and I need to use these tools like, you know, a Google Maps or a GPS app. I need to use an Audible type app for my audiobooks. And they gave me all sorts of reasons. And these are the excuses that I give myself also. But when I went on your website lately, I saw how thorough the solutions you're now offering are. I would like to just explain to people what you've created, and how does it compare to, let's say, having a smartphone with all the apps that we love? Because I find that's the number one hurdle that people face when trying to switch to other systems. They say, well, you know, I don't want to go back to not having the email software that I love, the GPS that I love. So how have you been able to engineer these solutions that will still offer the same quality of features that people are looking for, but all while being more private?
So the beautiful part is we are standing on the shoulder of giants, and the product we offer is an amalgamation of all these different technologies that are working together. And so the operating system is written by Graphene OS, which is a very big security focused open source project focused on mobile phone privacy. Typically, these phones are called de-Googled phones. Why? Because at least Google, when compared to Apple, their operating system, right, the software that runs on the phone, the foundation of it, they have left available for people to take and to adjust. So in the past 5 or 6 years, these alternative operating system developers have created systems that are actually just as good as a normal Google phone or a normal Apple phone. In fact, some of the features that they've released have Google's been like, oh, that's a pretty good idea, because Google's and Apple, they're now catching on privacy too. Let us include that back in our main Google products. So we're getting to a point where the alternative is actually farther ahead. You're getting access to more features. So in a way, this isn't just an alternative. It's better than big tech. And I will show you that today. I've got the phone with me, and I'll show you the different things that I can do, some of the things that you were asking about. But to go back to, oh, well, what about the apps that I use? I still need to use Audible. I still need to use this. Well, it is under the hood. It's an Android phone. So if the app is on the Google Play Store, you can still download it. And there's a way to download it privately, which I'll show you. But the beautiful part is you have more control. You have more control over the permissions, not just the privacy aspect stuff, but things like Bluetooth and airplane mode, which, you don't have any verifiable way to be sure that stuff is off on an iPhone unless you're constantly measuring it. So it's unlocking a whole lot of features for you. So I always start with 3 things. So one, the above phone and other de-Googled phones, Graphene OS especially, they will work with any cell service. So it doesn't matter if you're in the United States, doesn't matter if you're in the EU. We have customers all around the world. You put your SIM card in and it'll work. That's stage 1, which of course it's like, wait, hold on, no SIM card. This is the EMF guy here. Let's be a little bit more holistic. And so what you can do is actually connect it through an Ethernet cord as well, which this is starting to become more popular. But we've been doing this since 2022. And so it's really at the forefront of what we do. And you can still make phone calls that way using an internet phone number. So I'll show you that. So it works with any cell service. And then you can still get all the apps you want, again, if they're on the Google Play Store. And so I won't lie, there's a little bit of an adjustment, but you can still get everything you're used to using. And as soon as you learn it, which we've made the process really easy, like we understand it's a little bit of an uphill battle, but we have the support. Anytime you get a phone with us, we have a live call just like this, and we help you take your old phone, your new phone, and help navigate things over your data, your contacts, all that type of stuff. And that's what these new businesses have to do, because we're facing a lot, and we have to build the momentum that way.
That's great. And I know that you are able to show the phone on screen. So I think that's a tremendous way for people to have a visual. You mentioned that these phones are Android based. I know that you have different models on your website that I could see. These are Google Pixel. I'm not familiar with it. I must say, as I'm recording this, I'm still on an iPhone, but I'm strongly considering switching over to that Google Pixel. My older brother has been, a Google Pixel fan for years, and he tells me, oh, it's better than iPhone, better. I know, it's a top-notch smartphone. And then, of course, I'm not advocating, people know me well, I'm not advocating to use a smartphone all the time, but the smartphone is a miniature computer. I use it wired 99% of the time. I rarely use cell service. In rare occasions, I will use it, but people know by now that I try to minimize EMF exposure and not use it. If I can have calls in front of my computer, I will have them there. Or you just have an Ethernet cable at home and you do most of your things there, including updating software and all the data intensive stuff you can do. But let's do a walkthrough if you're willing, or go ahead and let's look at that actual machine.
Yeah, absolutely. And right, I'm not telling you anything new with the Ethernet cord, but I think you will really like this, because so normally you take your calls on your computer. There is in my house personally, everything is wired for Ethernet. So it's kind of funny. People come over, they ask for the Wi-Fi password. I'm like, no Wi-Fi password. Here's a dongle, bro. And they're like, what? And it's this whole thing. And so this is the phone, and you'll notice at the top, you'll see the little airplane symbol. It is on airplane mode right now, and it's connected to Ethernet. This, of course, makes it faster. We know all this stuff. But the cool part is we've actually verified that there isn't any, the radio is completely off. It's negligible. It's zero EMF. Like it matches up with what was already in the environment. So I think that is very special, whereas some other phones, you may not be able to verify that. Like normal phones, you may not have that same level of control on airplane mode. So that's really cool. Sure. And then there's these other permissions too. So this is, if you've used Android before, it'll look familiar. We've got home screens. You swipe up from the bottom, you get to see all your apps. Swipe down from the top, you get to see your notifications. And so you have the ability to shut off different things on your phone at the global level. So if I wanted to shut off the microphone access, no app on the phone has microphone access or camera access or location access. Same thing with Bluetooth, same thing with the radio for airplane mode. And so already these are not toggles that you would find on a normal phone. That's already great. And then there's also specific permissions you can do per app. So for instance, Telegram is a very, very popular app. And what you can do with Telegram is you can do all these same permissions, some of the ones I was talking about, but you can also drill down. A lot of apps nowadays, even the apps that are supposed to be private, like Signal, which is funded by the US government, by the way, and also takes people's contacts. I wonder why they're doing that. They will ask for all of your contacts. And once you send it, there's no takebacks. There's no takebacks you can do. So here, I want to show you this feature called Contact Scopes, which is a part of Graphene OS. And when you go into Contact Scopes, you can actually choose, hey, I don't want all my contacts. I want to talk with Dave. I want to talk with Carol. I just want to share those contacts with you and no one else. So a lot of our customers, they're overseas travelers. Maybe they go to Latin America. WhatsApp is king there. I mean, I think WhatsApp is surveillance technology, but hey, once you're there, good luck. Good luck using anything else. And so this is perfect. This is perfect to limit your exposure. So those are just some of the cool features of the privacy of Above Phone. You've got that level of control over every single one of your apps. And then another good location to go from here is, okay, well, how do you actually download apps? So
Mm-hmm.
this is Aurora Store, which our friend Rahul from India built this app so people can download apps off the Google Play Store privately and anonymously. And it does this through shared Google accounts. But the reason I really like this is because it gives you informed consent, right? Like you kind of want to know the ingredients of something before you put it in your body. Well, why don't we do the same thing with our phones? And so with Aurora Store, you can actually go down and you can look at the privacy and you can see, okay, what are the other companies that are within this app? These are different advertisers. These are different analytics apps. And so this one, this job app it doesn't have a lot of trackers, but some apps that you wouldn't expect, they have a ton of trackers. Here we go. 8 known trackers for a PDF reader. And on the App Store, this is everywhere. It's a pandemic. On average, there's about 5 different trackers, 5 different companies, and these companies, they typically will gather different information about what you're doing within the app. They will aggregate that and they will sell it off to other analytics platforms, which then sell that data off to other people, nonprofits, political parties. The government, federal, local, state law enforcement, that's a way for them to circumvent the Fourth Amendment. And it turns into this whole surveillance economy. So now with the above phone, not only are you getting visibility in what apps you're installing on your phone through Aurora Store, but you also have alternatives. So F-Droid is the app store that is default normal on the above phone, because all of the apps here, they are free and open source, meaning that all the source code is visible. There's no hidden code, which usually those trackers have hidden code inside of them. And you have alternatives. So all the apps that come default on the above phone are from F-Droid, right? So those are some of the key differences with everything.
That's cool. And to me, it really looks like we're entering this new age of let's say alternative. Like you said, the alternative is becoming the mainstream in a sense. I think people are starting to do that with news. Because here I am, a citizen journalist doing this from that's my mom's office. I'm on the road, I'm traveling, and yet I'm able to publish this throughout the world, right? And some people would say, well, I won't listen to CNN or NBC or whatever when it comes to EMFs. I'll talk to Nick instead. So I'm disrupting that industry, right? And I'm just, one guy doing research and connecting with scientists. And this is a part that I've seen explode in the last few years as people trust the mainstream media less and less. And it looks like the same movement is happening with tech, where we know these things are dangerous for our health. We know these things are dangerous when it comes to privacy, when it comes to them selling our information and not even giving us a commission. That's always been one of my pet peeves. It's like, well, okay, at least, okay, sell my information, but send me a check, right? They make billions or trillions of dollars on you, but you don't have a say and you don't have a cent, which is very bizarre to me. It's like stealing information. It's really mining people, right? And yes, for some usage, do I mind if people recommend me, I don't know, like beard products because I have a beard? Not so much. But if they start, blocking me from places and preventing me from doing my work because I'm an independent journalist, then I would have a massive issue, but it would be too late at this point, right? Because I'm, all my life is open on the internet. So I find it very nice that you have these alternatives and that, even the free softwares now are at a quality where it's equal to the software that is polluted with these trackers or better. So it's, I think I have fewer and fewer excuses not to switch over, right?
We will get you hooked up, and as a citizen journalist, as someone who's uncovering the truth, it's especially important for you to protect your data, and for anyone out there who's trying to live out their purpose. Protect yourself, protect your business, protect your relationships. It's all through this, because in a normal phone, you don't necessarily own anything on that phone. And I have a multitude of examples, but all it takes is breaking Google's terms of service or Apple terms of service, and they will take every last byte of data, every last photo, every last song that you paid them to have on your phone. It's not actually yours. You don't actually own it. And they can they can take that away, and they have. There was this gentleman in Florida who got his phone stolen by robbers. And so Apple locked him out of his Apple account, taking the photos of his daughters with him. And he could not get the photos of his daughters back, like when they were younger, his sentimental family photos. And he went to the Apple headquarters with his passport, and he's like, hey, I am who I say I am. Please give me back my photos. Nope. Couldn't get it back. So, you have to ask yourself, what is really important in this life, and are you leaving it in a place that is actually under your control? And I would say no. And there's been different cases, like for instance, the contact tracing updates, where they in specific parts of the world, like Massachusetts and the United States, the contact tracing apps actually got automatically installed on over 1 million phones. My guess, it was probably everyone in the state of Massachusetts. And the Bluetooth turned on automatically, right? And this didn't happen at a wide scale. They only decided to do it in Massachusetts, but it just goes to show that when you're using a normal phone, you don't have control over it. So take back control in this way. And so the other thing, scary thing you pointed out was like, yes, so it would be nice if they paid you for the data, or at least maybe ask your consent. But another scary thing is that you actually become an instrument of their surveillance. Recently, it was discovered through Wi-Fi positioning systems, which is like, it's essentially an enhanced GPS. That's why Google has been driving around with their cars for years and years, collecting the Wi-Fi points, because they know exactly where those are mapped, and that's how you have the accurate location. But when you're walking around and you're with your phone, you're actually doing the same thing. You're surveilling for them. And a recent study showed that they can track Wi-Fi access points moving throughout the world. So they were like mapping Gaza and seeing Wi-Fi access points being destroyed due to the bombardment, or people escaping Ukraine. So the amount of surveillance infrastructure is massive. But as you like to do, just focus on the solutions. This is a really good way to divest from all of those systems.
Hey, let me interrupt this podcast for a second. I want to tell you about one of the EMF protection or health supporting tools that I really believe in, and which in the end also helped me finance the costs of this show. Since writing my book back in 2017, it has become clear to me that a lot of people understand the dangers of EMFs very well, but struggle when it comes to getting started and actually implementing what they know they should be doing to reduce their exposure. And this is why I teamed up with Brian Hoyer, who's one of the top EMF mitigation specialists in North America, and we created a simple step-by-step EMF protection course that will show you exactly how to minimize EMFs in your home, step by step. It's called Electro Pollution Fix. We've had hundreds of health conscious people just like you take the course, and the feedback has been mind-blowing. This course is the best way to stop feeling overwhelmed or confused about EMF protection and be able to take action, reduce your risks, and make your family safer. So check out Electro Pollution Fix. Just go to electropollutionfix.com and you can enter the coupon code SMARTER at checkout to save an entire $100 off of your course membership. So enjoy the discount, and back to the podcast. Yeah, that's massive. And I know, there's the phone. I don't know if there are other things you wanted to mention about it. One thing that I'm curious about, I don't know if it's feasible since you are a developer and these things. Would it be possible to engineer a feature where when you plug in a dongle with Ethernet, it will turn off, or it will set the phone on airplane mode, kind of an automation like this? Because many people have complained after years of using Ethernet on their laptop or their phone, they realize that when you plug it in, it gives Ethernet, but the 4G or 5G is still there and the Wi-Fi is still there. So it's kind of built in a way that is not that smart. And is that something that could be engineered or that could be coded? I think the Ethernet protocols maybe are very old because that's like technology that's from the 80s, I think. But is that something that's realistic to create?
It's most definitely possible. And hey, I believe through some of the phone automation software that's on F-Droid, I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's something like a phone assistant, and it can detect what's happening on the phone. So that might be something we actually decide to finish developing on the phone and show people how to set it up on their own. And it's also, of course, it's not that hard to plug it in and put on airplane mode. But I
Sure.
completely understand. Like you're in a rush. There's also we have a privacy laptop, and one of the cool features about that is that we did write software so when you plug the Ethernet in, all the radios shut off. So
Oh,
it's most
nice.
definitely possible, Nick. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
maybe.
that's I think that's the only time I ever heard of any machine being engineered that way. To be honest, I have seen the worst example I always give of poor engineering is that radio alarm clock that is near your bedside in a hotel room, and that's a Bluetooth enabled machine, and it is always looking for a signal 24/7, no matter what you do. And that's just silly to me because I have no use for it. Why not, have it only look for Bluetooth signal when you press on the Bluetooth button? And some are engineered that way, but most aren't. And that's a waste of electricity. That's a waste of, human energy and vitality, because of course you're always exposed to that needless signal. And that's just the sort of things that make me very irritated. And of course, the industry doesn't have any incentive to minimize that radiation. But when it comes to the laptop, let's switch gears here and explore. So, what kind of laptop is that? What kind of software system or OS do you have on that? My guess is I think I saw it's a Linux based software or OS that you have. But my thought is I think about my older brother Jonathan, who's always playing around with Linux, and he tells me, "Oh, I'm compiling the database and this and that." Linux people, just historically speaking, in my mind, are like, they love it. They love complication and databases, and oh, I'm optimizing my kernel. I'm like, what on earth are you talking about, dude? I don't understand any of that stuff. So of course the first question people will have is, okay, is it complex to use a laptop like this that is on something that is not Windows and not Mac OS?
One of the guiding philosophies of our company, it just through the intention, is this technology needs to take over everywhere, is that it has to be easy. And I give credit where it's due. Apple and Google have done such a tremendous job of making our lives so easy to the point where we're getting dumber, but I'll hold on that conversation for a second.
Yeah.
And so that is our main goal with the phone. It's incredibly easy to use. There's a lot of guidance and support. And with the laptop, yes, it's using Arch Linux, which is actually an advanced form of Linux, but it's very adaptable. So it could be like one of those hacker looking command prompts, or it could be a full-fledged operating system that looks and feels like Windows. There's
Okay.
a lot of different possibilities. And what we've done is taken all the technology you need, all the apps you need. If there's, we've got like an Office suite already on there. We've created we've added on a software store. So instead of tapping on the terminal to install a program, you just go and search up the software you want. I mean, you can even find Zoom in a few seconds and install it. And so you're not messing around in the kernel or anything like that. You're just enjoying the software, which is it's a really nice look and feel and experience, and it's already set up to be as private as possible. We have things like full disk encryption that will protect you in case someone steals your computer. And the software we've built around making the onboarding easier is also super, super helpful. I'm saying something like, so in addition to the phone and the laptop, we also have something called Above Suite, which is the set of communication services. And these are universal. So they run on the phone. They also run on the laptop, meaning that you could text people on your phone and it'll show up on your laptop. Then you can text on the laptop. It's all synced up, and this is ready to use today. So with the book, it's really nice because, like, for instance, setting up the VPN, it's one click, and that's what we aspire to do. So I think if you try it out, you will be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, that's massive. And what is the type of computer? Is it a certain brand that people are familiar with? How equipped is it when it comes to, the processor or RAM, or kind of, do you have different choices there for laptops? I guess people have different needs, but most people I talk to have needs that are like, doing office work that is very basic.
Right.
But still, that's going to be one of their questions. And many people will ask me also about the battery, for example. Is it any improvement over Apple, where their products are difficult to repair or difficult to upgrade? Have you thought about these things, kind of future proofing what you sell there and making sure that people can use it for more than 2-3 years before it breaks?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Sometimes to future proof, you have to go into the past a little bit, because we all know about planned obsolescence, and the newer it is, the easier it tends to break, and the more it costs to fix. So we kind of took the opposite approach. Hey, let's go back in time to a sweet spot when we had a lot of new features coming out, and those features weren't taking advantage of the customer's kindness. So that sweet spot was a few years ago. And these are Lenovo ThinkPads from that time period. Even some of the models we have, which I'm happy to share the screen and show you the page of all the models. Sure. But some of them even have an Ethernet slot, so you don't have to use a dongle. But of course, we sell a 14-in-1 hub with an Ethernet attachment and an Ethernet cord that you can get with the book. So there's no extra work that you have to do. It's all right there in checkout. And we think that this is a sweet spot for computers. These computers are going to hold up to the performance of today. So anything from, I wouldn't recommend it for something like video editing or hardcore gaming, but it should be able to handle anything you throw at it other than that. And we've got 4 different models in stock. We call it the Carbon, which is our kind of the best and also best looking, very light, powerful, beautiful screen. Then we've got a business class laptop called the Magnesium. We even have a 360-degree foldable laptop called the Aluminum, based off of the ThinkPad Yoga, where you can write on it. So we have all these different choices, and they're all loaded up with our own operating system, which again is designed to be as easy to use as possible.
That's great. Do you want to share? I don't know if you can share a screen here. Do you want to share what these models look like? And
I think it's disabled for my end, but I'm happy to show you.
Okay, let me do this. I think you'll be able to.
Okay, perfect. Let's see. So if you could see that.
Yes.
So yeah, there's a lot of information here about what you can do on the phone. The laptop. And again, it's all integrated together. The VPN will work on your phone and your laptop. There's even a way to sync the files between your phone and your laptop. So it's like a peer-to-peer cloud.
That's
the
great.
Emails are all synced together, right? So there's a lot of interoperability. And then these are the 4 different models. The Carbon, like I mentioned, so all of them have about around a 12-hour battery life. Then the Carbon's got like the nicest screen. It's really light. The Magnesium's just a little bit heavier, but the same performance as the Carbon. Then the Aluminum is the fun one with the stylus and the touchscreen, and that's foldable. And then we've got the Starter, which, hey, it's not as performant as the other ones, but it does have an Ethernet adapter built into it, and it's a very solid computer. So those are your options, and I would encourage you to check this out if you're interested. You guys can always chat with us on the bottom right here. We've got people always online. No AI. It's real people, my friends and coworkers. So feel free to ask any question you might have, like, hey, is this app going to work? And we're happy to set you up. I also do want to mention that we've got a coupon for $50 off anything on our store. That's the EMF guy coupon. And so if you use that, you'll get $50 off your order. Let me see. And this is the main abovephone.com page where you can see our 4 different models here that we have currently for sale. And I will tease this a little bit, but soon we're going to have, we're evaluating some technology that will attenuate the fields, the radiation coming off of these phones. And so we're working on that. It's going to take some time. Right now, we've got the awesome Ethernet adapter, which your audience is very familiar with. But we're hoping that even when you're walking around, it's not going to be damaging on you or giving off harmful effects.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I think it will take a while before it becomes before we have anything that I can call a relatively safe phone. But if people use it in a smarter way and they keep it away from their body, then I think it can serve their life. And you don't have to be online to do all these things. Even your laptop, you can bring it to a cafe, do offline work, and it's really a matter of changing your habits around the technology. I used to be using my phone way more than I do right now, and that's just a matter of habit. And when people call me again, that's on my computer. So, but still, I think I have a lot of work after this conversation to de-Google myself. I use Google Suite for my business. I've been thinking about it for years. Now it's time to actually walk the walk and walk the talk and walk the walk, and just start looking for alternatives. I know that Zoom has an alternative, Google Drive. I'm just thinking about all the different steps, but it's going to take a while. But at the same time, I think it's only what people expect from me at this point. And I thank you for inspiring me today. And is there anything that you are working on? I know that on top of doing the above phone and the developing and creating this company, you've also been a featured keynote speaker on many events. So is that also, why are you also involved with spreading information? It looks to me that you have a deep passion for spreading information about this too, correct?
Absolutely. I think that we humanity as a whole is relearning how to live, and a lot of these illusions are falling apart. And hey, I love doing this. I think that having a focus on energetics is really what we're going to see in the future. And just as there are so many energy weapons being used against us, maybe to drive down our vibration, there's also, I don't know the right word for it yet, but I would call them like energy mechanisms, right? There are things we can use to uplift our vibration. Of course, there's stuff like diet and exercise, but there is so much more that's coming into the field. And I just want to know and appreciate all of it, and also see how it can impact others. I would say what's coming up for me is I've got the People's Reset, which is a solutions focused conference coming up in the Bath, United Kingdom. That's from September 27th to the 29th. So if you're interested in maybe meeting me in person and hearing from a lot of other amazing speakers on the energetics front, also on the permaculture and farming front, and also some of the major activists in the UK that are actually doing things, not just sitting around talking about the problems, please come join us. It's going to be awesome. And it'd be cool to see you there too, Nick. Aside from that, I've got my own educational initiative, takebackourtech.org, where I talk about privacy. That's going to drift a little bit into health. And I'm super excited about that. At a certain point, you and I are going to have an interview, and with the alternatives that you're searching for. Yeah, I've watched a few of your videos, and I was like, all right, he's got his notes on Google Drive. Don't worry, you're forgiven. We can fix. We can fix all of that. Yeah. So I've got some suggestions for you.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to hearing more about these suggestions. It will be I think a decent transition process. You don't de-Google yourself in a day. If you've been using it for my entire life online basically at this point. But still, I think it could be a huge improvement, and I would probably also make sure to clean up my business files and a bunch of things that I need to do anyway. But I think that the switch, as far as my phone, would be relatively easy because I barely use the thing, to be honest. It's sitting most of the time. I'm kind of searching around the home. Where's my phone? I don't even know because I don't care that much for it, and rarely do I have to check things on it. But with my laptop, it would be slightly more complicated. But again, it's just looking for alternatives, for alternative software, and then talking about it with my community. I think what you guys are doing is amazing, and I'm glad that I'm seeing that the quality, or the functionality of these alternatives is becoming so great that, again, I don't have a good excuse to not get the process started. So I'm looking forward to hearing more from you in the future. And just a reminder for people, there's just below the video somewhere there's going to be a link, and we have EMF guy for the coupon code for $50 off. And is that applicable to both laptop and phones? Anything you guys sell, or how does that work?
I believe so.
Okay.
So. And just get in touch with us. And hey, Nick, if you don't mind, do we have a few more minutes? And I'd love to show you some more stuff on your phone or on the phone. Okay, so check this out. If you haven't put me in speaker view already, I'm just going to run through all of the cool things. So check this out. The first thing is I'll show you an alternative to YouTube. And guess what? I'm already subscribed to the EMF guy here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to download your videos right now. So I can download the audio of your video and can download it in high quality. And so now I can download all the videos I want ahead of time. And when I go on a road trip, no, I'm not going to be connected to the cell network. I'm going to have it all on my phone. So it's pretty awesome, right? You can do this to any YouTube video. This is an app called NewPipe. It's better than YouTube. It doesn't have any ads. You can play stuff in the background, and of course you can download the videos. So that's really cool. This is how I would listen to your Smarter Tech podcast. So if you can kind of do the same thing here, download download it ahead of time. Look at that. Look how fast that was. That was pretty nuts. Thank you, Ethernet. And so this is an app called AntennaPod. These are apps that are default on the phone. Let's look at the internet-based communications. So so this is connected to Ethernet right now. There is a SIM card in here, but it's on airplane mode. But if I want to, I can still call people. So this is a demo person, and she's not a real lady, but I can call her. I can call this phone number. You can see it kind of looks like an email, and that will actually bridge out from the internet to the phone network. And this is accomplished through a chat protocol called XMPP, which we run all of these services. And actually, pretty much everything in our business that we run on our own data center. We run on our own servers, because sovereignty is very important to us. So you can call people through this internet-based service, and you can also have end-to-end encrypted messages for people who aren't on the phone network, right? So this is technology I encourage all your listeners to look into, XMPP, if you want the most private way to communicate. And I would also mention, try to get a de-Googled phone so you can be completely sure that the device you're using is also secure, not spying on you, right? Because there's no telling what type of logging is going on in Apple's keyboard. I mean, if you look at these phones, when we did our studies originally, part of the reason why normal phones generate so much radiation is because when you turn them on, they connect to 1,000 different servers. I kid you not. Yeah. That's what happens, right?
That's true.
So part of using a de-Googled phone is you're minimizing that. So get this. So this is this internet phone service. It's a collaboration with a company called JMP. And what you can do is you pay $5 a month for this phone service. You get to pick a phone number in the United States or Canada, and you can pay in Bitcoin. And again, you don't need a SIM card. So it's better than having a normal phone service, because you can just go to a cafe, you can connect to the Wi-Fi if you want. You're probably going to have to do that unless you go behind the counter and plug into the router, and then you can make a phone call without any radiation. So that's something to keep an eye on. Then these are services that are a part of our suite of software services. This is our email. This is just a demo account, but you can have an email, right? It's nothing special here, but it is private in the sense that we don't collect your emails. Once you delete your email, it's gone for good. We don't have a copy of it anywhere. So that's what makes the email private. It doesn't have that end-to-end encryption that a lot of email services are offering now, which I don't really believe or trust in that. And there's a lot to be said about that. But this is just a normal email service that is private. And then I will show you the VPN, which you can see here that we run our own VPN service, and we have different locations in the United States. We're going to be branching out, but this will encrypt your internet traffic. So if you're connected to your home network, instead of your internet service provider seeing all the crazy things that you're looking up, they're just going to see gibberish. That's kind of what a VPN does. It also prevents the websites you visit from knowing your exact location. So this is super, super important to resist censorship and surveillance. What else? We've got this search engine. So we run our own search engine. Here we are. And what's cool about our search engine is that it can search other search engines. So it's not just one search engine, it's many in any. And so I can turn on Bing, I can turn on Start Page, I can turn off DuckDuckGo if I don't like the results from one search engine, right? So giving you more power into your hands. So as you can see, we have a lot of different features. The last thing I'm going to finish with, which is one of the recommendations, Nick, is I'm not sure if you would do this for interviews, but for kind of like one-on-one meetings that won't be recorded, this is a really good tool. It's called Jitsi, and run on our own private server. And so you can join this meeting, and it's cool because you can send people the invite link. It's going to ask me to log in here, but after I would log in, I could take the invite link, I could text it to someone, I can message it to someone, and they would just join through the web browser. A lot of these tools, the other person doesn't need an above phone either. They don't need a Google phone either. They can use it. Yeah. It's not going to be as private, but they can still use it. So that's one of the important parts, is your freedom to choose. Even though you're getting the above phone, don't feel like you're going to be locked out. You can still get all your big tech junk food apps. You can still do that. Your Instagram, your Facebook, and whatnot. You can still do that on this phone. Just you're going to have far more control about the way you actually ingest those apps. So thanks for letting me show you some more features from the phone.
Sure. I'll just say one thing about the feature you showed me when it comes to saving videos. I've been trying to do that on Apple for years, and I don't know if I'm stupid or something, but hold on, I'm going to put back gallery here. And I've been frustrated because people send me a lot of videos on YouTube, and they say, Nick, you got to watch this, you got to watch that. And I say, okay, I'll watch it later. And then I have this document with all sorts of YouTube links. But when I'm at my computer, I don't really have a lot of time to review videos. So what I want is, while I'm doing the dishes, something like that, I can just listen to the audio. But it's been a very frustrating process on Apple. The apps simply don't work to save audio easily. You got to go through like shady websites that can download audios. And then just having audio loaded on an iPhone is now something that is quite complicated, when in the end, it should be simple, right? Storing data on a phone as if it's, a computer, and then clicking on the audio and playing it. And I've been very frustrated by that process, to be honest. So when you showed me that, it's like, oh my God, I've been waiting for this feature for years. So there you go. My mind is blown, and just this feature alone makes me think I want to switch, because that's one of the other things that has been the most frustrating for me on the Apple suite, is really my inability to review all of these videos that people send me and listen to these interviews that are not necessarily on the podcast app, because they're just on YouTube or just on another website. So it's massive.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a waking up moment. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so easy, and that's how a lot of things are on the phone. I'm not saying everything's perfect, but for the most part, it gives you your freedom back. It doesn't treat you like a child, and you can use it. You can use the phone to better the world. So I'm really glad you like that. Let's get you set up with a phone, and maybe we'll see down the line. And again, to anyone watching this, thank you, and we hope to chat with you. We hope to support you, and many blessings and good fortune.
Well, thank you, Hakeem. We're going to stay in touch, and I hope to hear more from your company and project in the future. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for having me.
In case this wasn't already obvious, the information provided in this podcast is not intended to replace medical advice. We always recommend that you review this information with a functional medicine practitioner or environmental medicine doctor who is up to date with the latest information on the dangers of EMFs and the best practices around electro-hypersensitivity, just to name these two things. And if you want to support my work, please consider sharing this episode with people you care about. You can also invest in my book, courses, or recommended products found at theemfguy.com. Thank you.